The United States is facing a shocking shortage of school bus drivers this back-to-school season. When Illinois schools kicked off their academic year on Monday, a whopping 8,000 Chicago schools didn't have bus service, and this is not an isolated event. Schools across the country are losing bus drivers, with some districts resorting to offering parents money to drive their own children to school. But these are temporary solutions that need a more sustainable fix. School buses are the largest mass transit program in the country, with over 26 million kids in need of transportation across the U.S. To understand why we are facing this shortage, how it might affect children's education, and what possible solutions could potentially be, we sat down with Dr. Karen Baptiste. She is an educational consultant who got her start as a special education teacher in New York City and has since developed national educational policies. So, Dr. Baptiste, why are we facing such a massive bus driver shortage in 2023?
Believe it or not, the school bus shortage is actually not a new phenomenon. So in 1985, the baby boom era, they didn't have enough drivers, and they actually started employing 15, 16, 17-year-olds to drive the bus. 4 decades later, still dealing with the same issue in the United States around the school bus shortage. What happens a lot of times is during the planning period and the allocation of budgets in school districts, there's a heavy emphasis on what happens inside of the school. Much attention doesn't get given to what is going to happen outside of school. So what has happened over time is that funding is lacking. A school bus driver does not get paid the amount of money that can actually sustain a family. So school bus driver, in some places, they're getting paid $12 an hour. These hours are odd hours. Because of that, it doesn't give them the flexibility to pick up another job to supplement their income. So it doesn't become an attractive field for people where they can make much more money, let's say as a gig worker working for a shared ride company, right? And so they have a lot more flexibility. They can make the money that they want to make, and they have a lot more control over their schedule. Nobody nowadays is signing up for low-wage jobs. So now we look at the school bus drivers, and the average age of a school bus driver is 55. Right? So we know around 55 is where people start retiring. Not only are we dealing with low wage, we also are dealing with a population that's aging out. But as this population is aging out and you're trying to recruit a new, younger generation, this is not enticing to them. I don't want to put my livelihood on the line and be responsible for the safety of 50 children on a school bus for $12 an hour, right? And then I'm responsible for driving the bus safely and ensuring that kids are all safe on the bus. That's not realistic. And so because it's not attractive for the younger generation, they're having a difficult time recruiting people to fill these roles. During COVID in 2020, we had about 280,000 bus drivers in the United States. Now, fast forward, we're in 2023, we're down to about 185,000 bus drivers. In some states like Massachusetts and New York, it's gotten so bad that they had to activate the National Guard. In this country, when you activate the National Guard, that means you have a significant emergency. We tend to see National Guard activated for hurricanes, natural disasters. So the fact that we have to activate the National Guard to drive school buses, that means we really need to be paying attention, because if kids can't get to school, how do we expect kids to learn?
And how will this impact children's learning?
This is insane how the absences are skyrocketing because kids can't get to school. Like, I don't think the government is really thinking about the long-term damage on society that we are not pouring enough funds into education. How are we going to get kids to and from school? Because the next thing that's going to come out of this is if we start to condense those routes, that means kids are sitting on a bus much longer. Now we have to start talking and looking at what is the long-term impact on their learning. I'm exhausted by the time I get to school. I'm hungry and I'm exhausted, and you're telling me that I need to sit up and get the math lesson done. I just sat on a bus for 3 hours, and we're not even counting that I have to wake up an hour before the bus gets there to get ready. School districts really have to start thinking about different ways to remedy this situation.
So how can this be remedied?
Maybe we can create a carpool system where parents alternate. Maybe there is a shuttle bus where there's a central location and you have parents driving that shuttle bus, or maybe you get someone from city council, someone in a town. Like, let's start getting people qualified, but there are so many different ways that they can come up with long-term solutions that are actually sustainable. And also we have to earmark dollars for this. We shouldn't have to activate the National Guard because we didn't earmark enough dollars to say that we appreciate people who become educators. If we increase the wage, we make it more attractive, pay people what they're worth.